Group D is the first group to be done in the Concacaf Gold Cup, and Dago and I are here to talk about it with you guys, how it shaped up with our predictions, our reaction to it overall, the results, and everything. But before I get into it, let us know in the comments down below how you felt about this group. What we're going to do is we're going to go each team fourth through first to discuss our thoughts about each team. And yeah, let's get right into it. Obviously, number 4 in Group D, Haiti. Dago, your initial thoughts about Haiti finishing fourth here was what?
It wasn't a bad showing by Haiti. They were never the favorites to advance, and I think the results that they had were solid results. I know they were mainly losses, but with that being said, they were close games. They kept it. They were in the whole game, right? And so I think that's something you can applaud. Again, they were never the strongest on paper, and we saw that. But I think they have something to be proud about, and maybe something to look forward to in their U.S. in their World Cup qualification for the U.S.
I think a lot of Haiti fans are going to be disappointed here, though. We got a lot of comments, I'm
Sure.
going to be honest, saying they were looking forward to them. Maybe it's a dark horse. And I think that was a general consensus amongst a lot of people in the media and giving their opinions online that maybe Haiti could make a push for second or first place here over likes of USA, Saudi Arabia. And unfortunately, they didn't. I think that 5-1 loss against Curaçao, like right before this,
Mm.
really put a damper on their overall experience here. And I'm not saying it was just that, but they went into this Gold Cup like firing on all cylinders, essentially, against a lot of these lower CONCACAF teams. And Matt Kudus just put a halt to it at the worst possible time,
Mm.
and they only scored 2 goals in this Gold Cup. I mean, Katie scores goals for fun. I said that in the predictions video, and I'll name off again like the results they've had before that Kudus game. They were scoring 5 against Aruba, 3 against Puerto Rico, 8 on Saint Martin, 5 again against Aruba, 3 against Aruba, 6 against Saint Martin. Right, a lot of goals are being scored, but then also take note of the teams that I'm mentioning here, not particularly good teams. I had a
Mm.
big concern with them going into this that they just weren't ready for the caliber of players they're going to be playing against, right? And, no matter where the USA is at right now in terms of their state as a country, footballing country wise, that is, they're still a very good team. And Hades weren't able to shape up to that to Saudi Arabia. Now, they weren't bad, like you said. I think they did
Mm.
fairly decent. A couple of results gone just a slightly different way, they might be in and around there if they get scored 1 goal or
100%. Yeah.
conceded one less. But Haiti's defense was also a big concern going into this, and I don't think it was fine. I think it could have been worse. But overall, Haiti, I think it's just okay. But I think
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
disappointing fourth finish here. I think third would have been decent, but to finish behind Trinidad and Tobago, I think is a big
It's
damper,
yeah.
right, for the Haitian fans out there. And if you're a Haitian fan yourself, let us know how you feel about this in the comments down below. I wouldn't have been upset at seeing them move forward. I thought they had a chance. It's just really unfortunate. I think that they were definitely a big team that a lot of people were looking forward to watching and doing better than they did.
Oh
Didn't look
yeah.
that way, fortunately. Now we move on to a team that had some expectations, but I think we're looked at just a little bit less than Haiti were. Finishing in third place, I had them finishing in second place. I was going maybe a little too far beyond what the realm of possibilities. Jesus Christ, Trinidad and Tobago finishing in third place here, barely. My prediction was
Barely.
right for half of that game until Saudi Arabia equalized and then eventually took the lead. But third place on 2 points. I'm not the most upset at it. I don't think you should
Yeah.
be if you're a Trinidad and Tobago fan.
I'm gonna be kind of putting them next to Haiti in that they're you could argue they were both the more like dark horses, you will, of that group. And so Trinidad did have one of the worst results in that kind of big loss to USA. And actually, that was one of the games I was there watching live from beginning to end, and they were not great at all. I thought they were really bad, to be honest with you, because that was a USA team that hadn't played a lot together, and they were like threw a bunch of
They
players
made
in,
them look really
and
good. They made the USA look really good that
they
game.
made the US look really good. And so I was like, man, this team is not great. So I'll be honest, I had a bad first impression of them. They pulled it around most, they got 2 results that let them finish in a respectable third. I do think maybe, I look at the stats even to the Trinidad and Haiti game. Haiti seemed to have a lot of shots and were kind of like you said, they have a great offense. And so they were still feeling themselves, but maybe that red card really hurt them and allowed Trinidad to kind of settle in for that 1-1 draw once they scored the equalizer. I don't think Trinidad should be upset, actually. I think, if anything, they should be really happy where they are. Maybe they can be like, damn, like one more goal and we maybe could have finished above Saudi Arabia. And that's totally valid. But, you had a really poor first game. And I think even to bounce back from that and have 2 solid results after that is a big, big accomplishment. They should be proud of that.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, I put a lot of eggs in Trinidad's basket, and did they all hatch into healthy chickens? Not necessarily, not necessarily. But I think you can. There's going to be people looking at it a bunch of different ways. Like you didn't finish last in this group, which you very well could have, compared to the
Mhm.
level of teams you're playing here. Trinidad arguably might be fourth best team on paper, right? Obviously,
Mhm.
no one's ever won a game on paper. But with all that being said, you can look at it very positively that they finished with 2 draws, but more so only 1 loss. It is unfortunate the loss was, how you mentioned, as bad as it was. But you can look at it very positively in that light. But also, I do think I had a lot of expectations for Trinidad here that Dwight York was going to take him to just a bit of a higher height than third place. But maybe that was just asking a lot. And to be realistic, maybe that was just a little too far out there. But like I said, they almost beat Saudi Arabia. It was, it was going to be really tough no matter what. Eventually, it was a 1-1 draw. It could have been a 2-1 loss, but there was a goal called off at the very end there. A draw against Saudi Arabia, very, very. You
Mm.
can be very proud of that. I think Saudi Arabia are a big hitter when it comes to Asian football, at least. And yes, this might not have been the best performing Saudi Arabian team I've ever seen in my life, but still, it's a good result against the likes of Saudi Arabia, and you can be fairly happy with that. Haiti, too. I mean, no one expected them to beat Haiti necessarily, but to get out of that with a point, still very solid. Yeah, the USA game was a big damper, and it is unfortunate that they had to play USA as their first game of this group, which,
Mhm.
the hardest, all the fourth place teams had to do that. It's just really unfortunate they had to do that, but like I said, third, not the worst thing in the world. You can be pretty proud of that and use that to go into worker qualifiers and hopefully making out of your group in there. So not bad overall. Number 2, though, Saudi Arabia. Again, everybody's favorite North American destination spot, Saudi Arabia, finishing barely in second place with 4 points through 3 games, only scoring 2, yet only conceding 2 as well. What does Saudi Arabia ooze to you, Diego? Like, how does it feel to watch them in this group? Because I have my thoughts, but I want to hear what
um,
you said.
I'm not gonna say they're like watching Prime Barca. Like they're not there to score. Like maybe like we can commend Haiti for trying to score. Saudi Arabia are not trying every time to score 3 goals. They know what they're
Mm,
trying to do. They're trying to get that goal because they do have some talented forwards. I'm not gonna take that away from them. They have some talented. They have a talented team for sure.
yeah,
But at the end of the day, they know that they want to get a goal or two, and then they think they can really set up really tightly and really compact and keep that lead. And it shows by the scores they had. It was a 1-0 win against Haiti. 1-0 loss to USA, which already is like not a bad result considering the USA on paper is a stronger team, and then even a 1-1 draw against Trinidad, which, like you said, they even had a chance to win it. And on paper, like stats wise, I say Saudi Arabia was superior in almost every way. They had almost 70% possession. They had double the amount of shots. So like they were dominant. They just couldn't capitalize on it.
yeah.
So they're a strong team. They know what they want to do. With that being said, since they are second, they're moving on and they're facing Mexico. Do I think they're good enough to be Mexico? No, but if they get a goal early against Mexico and they shut up shop, Mexico gonna have a hard time breaking them down. Um,
100%.
and I think Saudi Arabia have a shout. I'm not obviously they're not favorites. Of course, no one
Yeah,
should be saying they're favorites, but there you can see a reality where they get maybe an early goal, catch Mexico while they're still getting into the game, and then now Mexico have 60, 70 minutes to break them down. It's going to be hard because Mexico are not known to really have a good. They're not really good at breaking teams down like that. But besides some magic from Raul Jimenez or Santi Jimenez, I don't really see that happening. So I want to say don't let's not forget and just completely write off Saudi Arabia just because they're
mm.
facing what you could argue is maybe number one in the tournament or not. So I like their chances, but they're not pretty. I'm not gonna say they're pretty.
Yeah, 100%. And we'll expand upon that in a probably a match preview when that game comes
Yeah,
around. So make
yeah.
sure to keep an eye out for that. In regards to the Gold Cup, though, they performed exactly how I thought they were going to, if I'm being fully honest. If you go back and watch that prediction video, I didn't really have too high hopes for Saudi Arabia. I think they were blessed with the group they got and are the better team than Haiti and Trinidad. But Saudi Arabia going into this, I knew they're not scoring the ball. And that is a big deal, obviously. You have to score the ball. I hoped that it was going to change for the better in this tournament. It's very obvious it did. I mean, you scored 2 through 3 games. You can't necessarily keep that up if you want to win this tournament, right? So I knew
Mm,
they were going to do that, but I also knew defensively they're very, very sound, and they showed that here. Even just giving up 1 to the USA, which was a very chippy match. It wasn't an easy match for either team there. Just to give a 1, fairly solid. If they had scored, I think they could have actually won that game if they had gotten an early goal. But in regards to that Mexico game moving forward, that's what Saudi Arabia needs to change here. Is like, yes, you say if they get an early goal, but I don't really know if they're going to get any goals at this point. Like,
Yeah.
nothing tells me that I'm not very confident in them moving forward. On the pitch, it's not looking that good. So again, we'll talk more about it with that preview and prediction video when it comes out later on. But moving into this, I wish I would have seen just a bit more from Saudi Arabia on the attacking front to be a little more confident moving forward. But still, congrats to them. Second place is still very, very good. And I'm going to be honest. For this group, this group was easily, so far, because it's not fully done yet, but it's looking to be the most underwhelming group out of all of
Mm.
them. Because I feel like not a single one of these teams was like, wow, really give us a lot here. And I'm going to use that to
Mm.
segue into the United States of America here, who finished
Yeah.
with 3 wins, 9 points in first place. Yet, tell me if you feel differently. And I still don't feel good about this team moving forward. And that seems to be
Right.
the general consensus.
I I agree with you almost completely. I will say, and I think this should be given. It's more of like less credit, more like just noticing the fact that they were on a bit of a loss streak before the tournament started, and to go in and get 3 straight wins is, yes, it was against teams they should beat, but at the same time, I should give credit. I feel like to turn around off of a negative start to especially Poch's whole kind of era, if you will, turn around and get 3 straight wins is good. Like, that's good. We should acknowledge that. Now, they the most convincing of wins, not since the first game they won 5-0, not really. These were tough games, but they still won them. And like, I think this is something that, like, yes, we're going to say they aren't like the favorite, of course. You're going to say someone else. And of course, they're not like the best looking team, that we saw, especially considering how many players are throwing in and figuring out what works and what doesn't at the same time. But how many times have we seen teams that we think are like, oh, they won their games, but they didn't look amazing, and then they go on to win that tournament? It happens. You don't have to look the best. You just have to win the games. So totally valid. Like, the criticisms, I'm totally valid there, but I also think that, like, if the U.S. continue this kind of, like, we may not look the prettiest, we may not play the smoothest, but if they keep doing what they're doing, I mean, like, at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, you can be critical, but, like,
Mm,
like, they win. So I do want to see them play against a good team. I think that'll be the test. Um, and they're playing. Is it Costa
it's
Rica,
Costa
right?
Rica.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
So Costa Rica's a good team. I don't think that, like, I don't want to say that they should win this game, but, like, they should win this game.
Mm,
Um, like, we'll see. I don't want to jump too soon. I don't want to jump too soon. I want to hear your thoughts, but I think they should win this game. I really do, and I don't want to take anything away from Costa Rica. Like, we'll talk about them in the next video, but, like, I feel like the U.S. have the talent, and we've seen them when they're clicking, they can be good. So you're playing in the U.S. You have to be going further than wherever you are. So I
right.
expect them to be winning, but I got to give them credit. I think I'll be the devil's advocate here. I'll give
Mm,
them credit that you win your games, and you just have to keep doing that, keep
yeah.
impressing, keep showing us what you're doing, and then that kind of, I think, what's the word, like, that opinion around them, that kind of the way the perception will change,
Yeah.
as long as they keep winning.
Yeah, and you know what? Fair. I think obviously 8-1 goal difference,
Right.
9 points through 3 games. Like that. That does need to be commended. But you said like they got to keep impressing. That's the thing though. Is like they're not impressing. Like that 5-0. Hold on to the siren. I'll cut it real quick. Um, that 5-0 win against Trinidad started off really well. But like the performance just started looking worse once they started playing better teams, right? That Saudi Arabia game, it could have went either way. It could have went either
Mm.
way, depending on certain things. It was getting chippy, and then that Haiti game was a 2-1 win, but it was 1-1 for a long time. It took a lot for them to get that second goal, whatever. Yes, they're getting the wins. Maybe I'm being a little too harsh, but like, there's just really not much about this team that's giving me confidence moving forward through this tournament. Still, in the way that and we'll talk about this in future videos, obviously, that Canada has. Canada's doing very well, despite that Curaçao draw, which has almost felt like a loss for them. Canada still, I'm still pretty confident in them moving forward. Mexico, I'll have my thoughts on them later. Still, I'm more confident in them than I am with the USA. USA, I wish they had done more to warrant confidence moving forward in this tournament here, and that says a lot. I mean, that just shows the state they are in after getting 9 points in the group, topping the group, and there's people are still like not feeling good about them. That just shows how poor they are. But I will say, some of these players are showing up. Chris Richards has been fantastic. Malik Tillman has been fantastic. In fact, he's even talking to Bayer Leverkusen in this current moment in time. There are players that should be commended. Diego Luna's getting a lot of good opportunities with his team and whatnot. But it's still, there are aspects of this team where I don't feel good in. Goalkeeping, I don't know how I feel about Matt Freese yet. He gave up a poor error the other day that led to Haiti's goal to tie up the game. Ajiman up top, I think he's getting a little more slack than a lot of people. Like, a lot of people are hating on him, and maybe a little overwhelmingly so. But even with him, right, he's scoring a couple goals here and there, but even he doesn't look that good in my opinion. And that number 9 spot, and he shouldn't be the striker there. I think it should be Damian Downs, or someone else should be given the opportunity. Josh Sargent could have been in, especially since Haji Wright is not here anymore. Things like that, there's just aspects of this team where on the pitch, I'm still like not gonna say that they're gonna be able to beat the Mexico or the Canada or the Panama, moving forward. So that's just what scares me a little bit.
I agree. Can we give him some slack for the fact that this is not an A team? We already covered all the controversy and the drama that happened with the players that were supposed to be here but chose not to be here, whatever. And 100% that I agree with what you're saying. But I guess maybe I'm being sympathetic here, and I see that this is a team of players that don't play together that often. They are players that some of them are getting some of their first caps in this tournament. And some of the players that you mentioned that have been impressing, like Malik Tillman and Diego Luna, they were not starting the past few games when they had their A team. So to kind of throw them in there and the players that are impressing, I think deserve credit. The ones that not so much, like especially the goalkeeper. I know we all saw that era. That was pretty easy to see.
Freezes,
that was not great. But generally speaking, for a team that's kind of a bunch of what's the word? A bunch of
B team players.
B team players,
C team players, yeah.
C team players are just you're throwing puzzle pieces together, see if they stick, see if they fit together. I think maybe that goes more to Potts too, the fact that he's kind of slowly figuring it out because he had a poor start. We all know that, but we know that he is a good manager. So we're trying to see can he bring it together? Can he bring them all together? And he's bringing a bunch of players that don't play well, that don't play well a lot together, that don't have a lot of experience in an international tournament like this, playing against some good teams. Yes, they're not on paper. We keep saying on paper they're not great, but this is Concacaf. You let your physicality, you let your intensity, your passion kind of bring up your skill level, because all of a sudden you're in the game and you're bigger than you think because the fans are behind you and you're roughing up the opposing team. So I think it's one of those that when you're on the pitch, it's different. It feels different. We were at that the Guatemala Jamaica game, and on paper, yes, Guatemala are not better than Jamaica, but the fans are behind them, and you're in a stadium of only Guatemala fans.
Yeah.
I'm sure the players, it's in there. It's obviously not a huge factor, but it's in there. So I think giving credit to the kind of players that have been impressing, especially like you said, Tillman. I like Diego Luna a lot. Even Jack McGlynn, he's a young guy getting some game time in. I just want to give some credit to those guys because I think you got 3 wins. It so easily could have been a loss in there. And yes, there were tough games that could have turned it around. Absolutely. None of these were games that you're oh, absolutely great, solid, convincing 3-0 win against a tough team. I know that, but still, I want to give credit. You guys got 3 wins at the same time, but let's see how you do against the bigger opposition. That's my kind of overarching point. Let's see how you do getting into these knockout rounds where every minute of these games matters.
It doesn't redeem anything.
No.
9 points to 3. It's good. It's fine, but it doesn't redeem. It doesn't change public opinion yet. And it's obvious because you look at the attendance of these games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Poor.
Yeah,
Guatemala. No offense to Guatemala, but Guatemala's had a better representation. Panama's having a better representation, and if not in number, in passion, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's obviously, not to discredit USA fans that are going to these games, but it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. And I think obviously America needs to do something else to really get public opinion flowing again and get people packing the stadiums for the U.S. men's national team.
Cheaper tickets, please.
Hey, look at that, huh? Let's stop with
with
this whole doubleheader bullshit. I can appreciate it and I get it, but it doesn't make sense if you want to grow the sport. People want to watch extra football. I'm very grateful we got to watch Guadalupe Panama before the Jamaica game. But if you're selling half of the tickets for one game, half of the tickets for another game, not everyone's going to be there the whole time, right? So we got to stop doing that shit. That's a topic for a later point. Maybe that's a post Gold Cup video there. But
Yeah.
that is all 4 teams of Group D. USA and Saudi Arabia, again, are moving on to the knockout rounds, the quarterfinals of the Gold Cup, which we are going to be covering continuously moving forward. Let us know, like I said earlier, your comments down below, how you felt about this group, how you feel about it moving forward. Anything you want to talk about, let us know in the comments down below. Make sure to subscribe and leave a like for more Gold Cup content. My name is Elijah. This was Diego. And yeah, hopefully see you guys in future videos. And that's going to be it from us. Take care, guys.